We're here at Origins 2017, Columbus, Ohio, with Jason. Jason, we ran into you last night
Yes.
after leaving Jeni's, which I had heard so many wonderful things about, and we had to go and see.
Yeah.
So.
Did you guys try the ice cream there? Did you get some?
Yes, I had the roasted strawberry. I've never seen flavors quite like.
I've never seen flavors like that either. It's amazing what they do. I like the brown sugar almond brittle. I don't know if you've tried that one.
I didn't.
It's got honey in it, and honey and ice cream, you don't see that very often, but when it's done really well, so good. Just one of the great things about being here at Origins is, again, the food that's here.
Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit. The convention is absolutely fantastic. It's huge. Half the hall is the designers and publishers, half the hall is open gaming, and it's just absolutely giant. And on top of that, there's a lot of great evening events. A lot of the designers or publishers have been hosting a lot of cool events. Nerd Nighters last night had a charity event. North Star had an event at one of the barcades. So it's been really cool. Have you had a chance to check anything out for those?
As far as the different events?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I do when I'm here at Origins is actually volunteer for iEllo.
Okay.
I'm certainly not an official speaker of iEllo or anything like that, but they've got a really wonderful volunteer program. As you know, at Origins, there's so many volunteers with the different companies because there's so much to get done, and it really takes kind of that community spirit to get in there and be ready to demo games, to talk about games, and just make sure everyone's having as good of a time as they can, right? So a lot of what I've been doing is hanging out with the crew that's from there. We're a pretty tight-knit crew. If you've come to any of the conventions before, I know this is probably for people at home, but if they've come to conventions before, they've probably seen a lot of the same people with our crew. So we tend to do a lot of different events together. We go out with execs and things like that, and they're so gracious to be just great hosts and get us into those things that you might not get that sneak peek into when you're just playing games. So that's what I've been doing.
That's very cool. To be honest with you, I think that you might be the first person that we've had the opportunity to volunteer, kind of from the volunteer side, interview from the volunteer side. I was out way too late last night. Tell me a little bit about how you got the opportunity to volunteer for a company like iEllo and how you're enjoying that for maybe people who may be interested in something like that.
Absolutely. So for me, it was one of those chance encounters. It was actually Tabletop Day a couple of years ago. I was living in Austin, Texas at the time, and I'm a game designer myself, and looking to get published and all those types of things. And I had taken one of my games it was a prototype to show off. And then I met someone there that was, she was demoing some games from Renegade. Anyone who knows games knows that Renegade is doing really great stuff right now. So many good things.
Great.
And so they were just getting started at that time. I think they had just released Gravwell, and so got to talking to her about Gravwell, and it turned out that she knew people at iEllo and people at Renegade, and she kind of coordinated volunteers. So she introduced me to them. So it's really one of those chance encounters, just being in the right place at the right time in the community, the board game community at my local board game shop. So that kind of that dream scenario that everyone hopes for, right? So that's how I got involved a few years ago. Started going to Gen Con. I believe Gen Con 2015 was my first board game convention at all.
Gen Con is absolutely giant. Is that overwhelming to have that be your first convention?
I'm an outgoing person, and I'm very much an extrovert. So I just I felt that energy a long time ago.
That must have been really great for you.
Yeah, a long time ago I worked in the Apple store, so I was very used to that claustrophobic, everything's moving all the time, pull in the energy, have fun kind of thing. So that was my first convention, and then I came to Origins the next year and just fell in love with the convention here because it's a very different feel. Gen Con is great, but Origins like I said, it's got that close-knit community. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a little more intimate as well, and the food's so good. So that's how I got involved. Like I said, it was that chance encounter, and since then just been coming back to the different conventions every year, and as far as enjoying it, for me it's amazing because they're so good to us. They take care of us. They bring us in and take care of us while we're here. Some really good perks along the way as far as just benefits for working for a board game company. And then on top of that, from a game designer standpoint, there's been the opportunity to meet people like Tom Vassell, meet people that are really making movement in the board game industry, which is it's not something you can do because the industry here is so much different for board games than any other industry. It's not a it's not a competitive industry. If I make a great board game, it's not going to put you out of business. Like if we were both selling cars, right?
Right.
Someone's still going to go and buy another board game. So everyone props each other up. It's such a great community. Anyone that pays attention on Twitter or anything like that, and kind of see that community that's happening there, that social interaction. It's amazing. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
No, I absolutely love the board game community. It's interesting still to meet people and see how people even have moved through the companies. If you speak to one person, they may have worked for 3 or 4 different of the board game companies. It's like a big family, and it's really great. I mean, it's very cool. What got you? You're a game designer now, also. What got you originally into board games?
Yeah. So I didn't know it at the time when I started doing board games, but it turns out that, believe it or not, a lot of board game designers have math backgrounds. I studied math in school. I studied first math. My first degree is in mathematics, and then I went to Georgia Tech for aerospace engineering. Was graduating, we're getting near kind of internship time, right about the time we had that recession, and so all of a sudden the internships dried up, right? And so it's like, well, what else can I do? What can I be passionate about? What can I get involved with? And board games are something that I've always done with my family, and I said, well, I really enjoy that, and I like storytelling, and I like making things, and I started designing games, mostly just for friends, close friends and family, just kind of party games and that type of thing. I remember one Christmas we built a giant Jeopardy board, and everyone's Christmas presents were inside this giant board, and if they had to answer Christmas trivia just to get their Christmas presents, right? So things like that, and then that tumbled into playing with friends and having new ideas and just working through things until we kind of came across some ideas and said, well, let's look at this. Kickstarter's happening. There's such a vibrant community there. So much people looking for that type of thing.
Now,
So
you mentioned last night that you're looking to have a project launch around September.
I am, yes. September 4th is when we're looking to launch. It's actually called Loot the Body. I've got it with me if you'd like to see it.
Absolutely, bring it out.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. So this is Loot the Body. It's 2 to 5 players. I've got it rated 8 and up. It runs from anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. In this game, everyone takes on kind of a classic role as an adventurer, right? So you're a barbarian or you're a wizard and things like that. But it's a hand management card game. Everyone's working together to defeat monsters and traps and treasures and things like that pop up in the center of the table. You have to have everyone there. You're not going to make it through, but you're trying to outdo everybody along the way. You want to be the best adventurer. You want to get the most loot. Along the way, there's a little bit of a speed element, things like that. So the card system, it actually mimics the rolls of the D20. So you've got that chance of rolling that critical hit as well. And then people get really excited as well. They get a little bit frustrated. It's built in there on purpose. Is you roll that critical one, and all of a sudden negative things are happening to you. But it's been a great project, and like I said, we're going to be kickstarting in September. We've got right now a $500 contest going on for people, on Twitter. You can check us out at BTeamGames. You get to us there, and it's $500 and a custom copy of Loot the Body, where people can actually get their own character in a custom copy of the game. That's
very cool. You said that was B Team Games?
Yeah, B Team Games. My last name is Bice. It's a kind of a joke with my family. We call ourselves the B Team, and then so that evolved into B Team Games.
Adorable.
So.
Very, very cute. So you're obviously on Twitter. What other social media can people reach out to you on?
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said, we're at Twitter, on Twitter at BTeamGames, and then we're also on Facebook. You can find us. It's facebook.com/RollRumbleLoot is us, and then of course we've got our own site, thebteamgames.com.
Very cool. Is Loot the Body your first game?
Loot the Body is the first game that we're taking to Kickstarter. We've actually designed a couple of others. The first one that we designed all the way through is actually called Dragonfly Dash. I designed it with my daughter. It's a much simpler game. Involves dragonflies getting to a certain location, and the lily pads in the pond are rotating, and you have to deal with that path and avoid frogs and that type of thing. So it's a fun one as well. We have plans to publish that one after Loot the Body.
Oh, that's super cute. We just had James Hudson on. He had Grim Forest, so he was here with his son. It's really cute. I've seen so many parents here with their kids. I've seen so many kids around. Have
you seen the wagons rolling around, kids sitting around in the wagons? Oh, it's so great.
They're adorable. I've left mine all the way across the country. They're home. I get mommy time. It's nice. So you're gonna have this out in September. Do you have an idea of the price point that you're kind of looking for the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have an early bird special for the first 500 copies of it. It'll be at $20,
Okay.
and then after that, it's $25. So the main price point is $25. It comes with a full deck of cards. Every card in the deck is unique. So that deck is 70 cards. On top of that, there are 36 dungeon monsters and traps and treasures. Those are all unique with unique artwork. Would you like to see some of the artwork?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely love my artist. So
Who is your artist?
His name is Alex. He actually lives in Bulgaria. So we met via the website DeviantArt. I'd been using some of his art as just placeholders in my prototypes, and then I reached out to him, and he said, yeah, I'd love to take part. So we've got some characters here. There's a mage. We've got Sir Kendrick, the paladin.
Josh, could you get a close up to that for the camera?
And then we've got your classics, like we've got orcs, we've got a hydra. You can find some other classic ones in here. So there's a variety of bosses. We've got a Medusa. Let's see here.
Now you said you've got some classics.
Mhm.
Do you also have monsters like that you've custom thought up?
We do have some custom monsters. Most of the artwork for the custom monsters is still in production.
Okay.
So the majority of the artwork is finished on the classic monsters, things like that. But we still have some. As you can see, some of our cards just have words on them, things like that. This copy is it's a review copy.
Yeah, this is your prototype copy. You still
absolutely.
have points to know. I think it's very cool. So last night I put out to our viewers a call for help so that they could ask me any interview questions that they want to make sure I ask on camera.
Okay.
They said for game designers, they're very curious, what game mechanic do you really enjoy that you have not yet used in one of your games?
Game mechanic do I enjoy that I've not yet used in one of my games? Man, that's tricky. I tell you what, there's some really interesting draft mechanics in a lot of different games. Games like Biblios. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's got a really interesting draft where you get to peek at cards. You get to see what it is, and you decide where it goes. And you look at them one at a time, so you don't necessarily have the full picture of what's happening. I like that. I like that emotional tension that's built when you have some knowledge and you have to make that choice. Is this what I want, or is the next card? Do I take a risk on that next card? And people respond really well to that. They respond to that feeling of risk versus reward, and so you really want to put that in. So I have plans to put that into some upcoming designs, some similar mechanics like that. But yeah, just interesting draft mechanics are a lot of fun.
It's very cool. Jason, is there anything else that you want to let our viewers know before we get into it?
I would say that for anyone out there that's looking to do game design, the big thing is come to the conventions, get to know people. Like we talked about earlier, the board game industry is so unique. It's in just the way industries work. The big wigs aren't gonna scatter off. They'll have a conversation with you. They'll have a chat with you. The other night, I essentially had an Uber service from a gentleman that was the president of Gamma for a long time, and is the number 7 employee at TSR, and helped design and make Dungeons and Dragons a thing. And he was driving me to a party in his van. So these are the places to network, get involved with that. And when it comes to game design itself, you have to play test. As a designer, I've always got that feeling, what could I do to make things a little bit better? But once you reach that point where you've play tested so much, and it's like, everyone's really sticking with it, everyone really likes what's happening, things are moving the way they're supposed to, and you see people getting really involved and
emotionally
invested in the game, exactly. And there's these the emotional highs and lows of a critical whatever it may be. It's so rewarding. So don't expect that to happen on day one. But absolutely, play test as much as you can, and get to know the people in the industry, because they want to get to know you. They're not just people that are selling games; they're people that love games.
Yeah.
And if you're someone that can make a great game, they want to have it.
Sounds good. That is some seriously solid advice. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I appreciate
Thank you guys
it.
so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.